Hey guys, Slatts here with a tutorial on Arma weapons. So this applies to Arma 1, Arma 2, Arma 3, the very basics of what you need to do to get your gun in game. So we're going to use oxygen today, which is our nice little tool here. If you don't know how to use it, I suggest you go watch Nat's videos on how to get it set up, how to get bulldozer working, what each part does. They're very handy tutorials. So they're in the links in the description. Pause this video and go watch them. And you're back, and hopefully everything's set up nice. Anyway, so these LODs, what do they do? So we have here 1 through to 5. They're just details, level of details, or LODs. So everything just gets less and less detail. That's just from further away, so it doesn't drop your frame rates. View pilot. View pilot is your first person view, so you can see here everything's a bit more detailed compared to number 1. You can see here that the Picatinny rails are flatter. There's no kind of definition to them. The handguard is very basic looking. The view pilot, you can see here that the Picatinny rails are a bit more detailed. There's some ribs along the handguards. It's just small things like that. And another thing you also have in your view pilot LOD, which applies to red dot sights, is your red dot. And the number 1 has it. I just put that there. Not every gun has them, and you don't need it here. So next one we're going to look at is shadow volume. That's a very self-explanatory one. It's just the shadow. Geometry can actually save your life. Ever been shot a guy and had the round bounce off his weapon? Well, that's the geometry LOD getting in the way. It's also important for weapon collision. So if you walk into a building and your weapon starts bouncing around a little bit, that's the geometry LOD. If you want to be realistic, I suggest you put it in. Next one, memory. The memory one is pretty important. There's some definitions in here that define some things, like we have flash direction, that's for your flashlight. You see here it's just placed where our model is. I know it might be a little bit hard to see with the yellow. Next one is laser direction. Again, same thing, just place it where your laser aim module is. We have here, I'm going to try to pronounce that, just some weird Czech names. What this does is it defines where your bullets eject from. So your shells eject from when you shoot. So you'll just see a nice brass shell going flying up this way. I'll give this a go. Usti Lavne. Is that right? I don't know, you can correct me on that. And another one we have is Konikavne. Now what these two do is it defines where the barrel begins, just here, and where it ends, just here. So that's where your bullet is going to travel along. And it also helps with these sonic cracks. So if you're looking from this direction, you'll hear the crack as the bullet whizzes past. Bolt axis. Bolt axis helps with the bolt selection in view pilot, and the number 1 LOD. That just tells the game where you want your bolt to move. So every time you shoot. Have a look. Trigger axis. Again, pretty self-explanatory, it's just where the trigger rotates. And I think that's everything. So I'll go back into review pilot and talk about the bolts. Right here. This is our bolt definition. I don't think I set it up right. Whoops. Anyway, if it is set up right, just select the model, or the part of the model where the bolt is, and then once that's defined, you'll just see that move as you shoot. That is related to the model config, which we'll talk about later. Now some of these, like charging handle, bullet cover, receiver, you don't really need those. They're just there. Whoever made the model just had them there to play around with, just make selections a little bit easy. We have here our proxy Zasla to, you don't need, once that's there, you can get this out of the sample LODs. sample models I should say, from Arma 1. Again, there'll be a link in the description, and as well as some of the memory points I should point out. So what this does, this is your muzzle flash. So as you can see, it's placed where the barrel ends, so that's where your muzzle flash is going to appear from. Once that's there as a proxy, that's good. And then you want to define that proxy as Slatts, Z-A-S-L-E-H. So once that's set up nicely, your muzzle flash will appear and disappear every time you shoot. Again, that's related to the model config, so we'll talk about that later. Magazine, again, related to the model config. I think it's pretty obvious. The same with the muzzle flash, it appears, disappears as you shoot. Sorry, as you reload, I should say. Yeah, that seems like that. That's a very basic overview of what you need. So let's just do it real quick again. So you have your bolt, define your bolt, define your magazine, your proxy for your muzzle flash, and define your proxy for your muzzle flash. Memory, just have the basics. You have bolt axis, eye is for where your character will look, where the camera will move when you're going to non-zoomed optics, so iron sights and red dot sights. So you see here it's set up with a little mini red dot on top, or your backup sights. If you want flashlights, put in flash direction. Have your barrel begins, barrel ends, lasers, these 2 points here, and where your shell ejects at the end, shell eject start, shell eject end. Trigger axis, if you want your trigger to move, it's no biggie, just a nice touch. It's not going to crash the game if it's not there. So if none of these are there, it won't work, basically. So if you want your gun to shoot and you haven't defined your barrel, it ain't going to work. If you want a flashlight to work and you haven't defined your flashlight, it ain't going to work. Same with everything else. Just the simplest thing to do is to copy it from the Arma 1 sample models, and you get your very basic points. All you have to do is just, if you want your flashlights and lasers, just put in 2 points, call them laser direction, laser pause, and it should work. They might need rotating, but that's just a game of trial and error. Have your geometry LOD, have your components 1, 2, 3, etc. Shadow volume. You've also defined shadow volume. Sorry, you also define magazine shadow volume. That just makes the magazine disappear. And yep, just have your definitions here. Magazine, bolt. These ones here. Now these aren't game breaking. So if you don't have them working, it won't. Sorry, if you don't have them in the gun won't work. So if you don't have your proxy there, you just won't have a muzzle flash. If you don't define your bolt or magazine, then neither of them will disappear or move. So it's not a game breaking error, it's just a mistake error. So I think that wraps it up for your basic weapons overview. So in the next video we'll talk about configs, we'll talk about model configs, getting your gun in game, etc, etc. So I'll see you in the next one.